Hello. This week's Sedra is Sedra Mishpatim. One of the most commonly asked questions about any mitzvah is, why do we do it? The question actually combines two different questions. Why did God give us the mitzvah? And what's the benefit of the mitzvah to one who observes it? The questions both dance around the faithful religionist answer of, well, God commanded the mitzvah, so we do it. But the word mitzvah itself also means command, and it would seem God commanding its performance should be enough. In his work, the Mishnah Torah, Rambam wrote that most mitzvos were given to improve one's character and to correct their understanding. Mitzvos, according to the Rambam, were given for their followers' benefit, and the mitzvah's benefit was performing them perfects a person's behavior and their intellect. In this week's Torah portion, we read about many mitzvot, most involving civil law, which is something new for us. As the Torah comes to a close, we read of the following exchange between Moshe and the Jewish people and God. God said to Moshe, "Come up to the Lord with Aaron, Nadav, and Avihu, and the 70 elders of Israel, and bow low from afar. Moshe alone shall come near the Lord, but the others shall not come near, nor shall the people come up with him." Moshe went and repeated to the people all the commands of the Lord and all the rules. And the people answered with one voice, saying, "All the things the Lord has commanded, we will do." Na'aseh. This almost blind acceptance of the mitzvot of the Jewish people's resounding answer, "we will do," speaks to the Jewish people's allegiance to God and their commitment to follow anything God commanded them to observe. The mitzvot can be divided into many different kinds of categories, but the most well-known division of mitzvot is between mitzvos that must be performed, mitzvot aseh, oftentimes translated as positive mitzvos, and mitzvos lo aseh, mitzvot that prohibit certain actions and thoughts, sometimes translated as negative mitzvos. A well-known question is whether the observance of a prohibition, for example, not stealing, is itself a performance of a mitzvah. In his commentary to the Jewish people's answer, "All the things the Lord has commanded, we will do," the word na'aseh, Chananel addressed this question. The words "we will do" includes all the commandments of the Lord, prohibitions as well as commands, he wrote, requiring exertion or activity. The reason why this is not a misnomer is that if someone refrains from violating a negative commandment, a prohibition, he is considered as having performed the commandment, i.e. the commandment not to violate God's legislation in that matter. We have a complete verse confirming this in Tehillim. They have done no wrong, but followed his ways, the pasuk says. In other words, not doing evil is considered equivalent to doing good. Rabbeinu Chananel's equation of observing a prohibition to performing a mitzvah through both being following God's ways helps us in our original question of why Jews observe mitzvahs. At the foundation of each mitzvah is the observance of God's commands and following God's ways. For the Jew, following God's ways was the charge accepted at Har Sinai years ago. But there's one more aspect to God's mitzvos that's important to mention. The Jew doesn't only perform mitzvot because God commanded the Jews to follow his ways. The people at Har Sinai were not only completely dedicated to God, but maintained that anything God commanded them was for their benefit. While understanding that mitzvos are for people's benefit is demonstrated through the performance of a mitzvah, but one that requires us to take action, it's demonstrated even more when a person refrains from violating a prohibition. A person's desire to violate a prohibition is much stronger than their laziness that encourages them to not exert themselves in performing a mitzvah. Rabbeinu Chananel's equation of observing a prohibition to performing a mitzvah teaches refraining from a prohibition is following God's ways, maybe even more than observing a mitzvah. So next time you don't do anything wrong, recognize the fact that you've actually done something good. Shabbat Shalom. What a powerful and inspirational message.